All right, I thought I would do a video for you guys and gals updating my position a little bit on multivitamins because this is one of those topics where pretty much for many years I've always said I just avoid multivitamins. I don't recommend them. I just don't see the point. And I know a lot of people have said, well, even some evidence-based people are like, well, I see it as an insurance policy. And here's my reply has usually been, yeah, but the problem is they're made by the supplement industry. And there were a lot of scams and nonsense perpetrated for the purpose of selling them generations ago, right? Before pretty much anyone listening to this video was ever born. So I'm like, to me, it's always seemed kind of scammy. But as I usually say, I try to go with what the best evidence is, what the best experts say, particularly when it comes to nutrition. I know with training, it's a little more nebulous because the exercise science itself is not particularly good. It's just the science isn't always well done. They don't have large enough sample sizes. There's a lot of problems with exercise science at times. Nutritional science is a little more straightforward because there's a much larger mainstream interest in it. There's many countries involved, and so again, with so many different countries involved, some of which don't have our same corporate interest, the data tends to be a little bit better and with much larger demographics of people being looked at. So all of that being said, I try to be pretty mainstream with most of my nutrition advice, like based upon what the best experts say, even in sports nutrition and bodybuilding, because there are branches of nutritional science that delve into those. So when it comes to multivitamins, part of my historic issue with not advising them, and I'm going to say in this video, I think they can be reasonable as an insurance policy. And it's taken me a long time to get to that point because I am ever the skeptic of supplements. Like, it's going to take you, if you have a supplement that you want to convince me might be worthwhile, it's going to take years for that to happen. And until that point, it's a scam, and I'm going to tell people not to take it because 99% of the time that will be true. Okay, it will be a scam. But when it comes to multivitamins, a big thing for me was the fact that they just flat out lied. Right? They made big deals, all these vitamin companies like 80, 100 years ago made big deals about, well, the amount of crops we grow and the way that we do stuff. The soil gets depleted, as if there aren't whole sciences on how to replenish this and how to do crop rotations. And therefore, their argument, our vegetables and our fruits don't have as many vitamins and minerals. Okay, it's as maybe we did in ancient times. Well, here's the problem with that nonsense. Malnutrition was a big problem in ancient times. We have selectively bred fruits and vegetables to have more nutrition than anything found in nature, to have a higher vitamin and mineral content. And a lot of people are not aware of this. Like, you take things like broccoli, which many people consider to be a superfood, just because of the antioxidant load and phytonutrients. It is a nutrition powerhouse. It doesn't exist in nature. It's a completely man-made species through agriculture of selective breeding. Okay? And in other words, even no matter what's happened with soil depletion or whatever's happening with crop rotations, the fruits and vegetables we grow today have way more vitamins and minerals than anything historically, and it's actually really easy for us to get our minimums on some micronutrients from them. Things like vitamin C and stuff. Like, if you can't get that from modern vegetables and fruits, I don't know what to tell you. It's actually pretty easy because they are that nutrient loaded, irrespective of what's happening with soil quality. Also keep in mind, particularly in the US, there's a vast interest in the science of restoring soil. That's why we do all the fertilizers and things that we do to get all that mineral content up. And keep in mind, the vitamin content is made by the plants. Okay, right? They make these things out of basic amino acids and minerals and things. So this shouldn't be an issue. However, here is the other concern too, is my always concern has been, well, you've got to be careful about the safety side of it, because if you overdose on certain minerals and things and certain metals, it could create problems of absorption of others. And that's always been a concern for me when it comes to just random multivitamins. But what I've seen a lot of leading experts say, including, like, I've seen some researchers who they're absolutely into longevity. Like, this is what their PhDs are in. and they've been interviewed, a lot of them all take multivitamins. And I think that's fascinating because I've seen multiple interviews of multiple researchers and doctors in these areas who are very into longevity, who have PhDs and research backgrounds in nutritional science, who personally take a multivitamin. Okay, now that is a bigger deal than some clown on social media saying, "Oh, I take a multivitamin," who is just a gym rat or something, or a fitness buff, because they don't know. They have no clue. But when I see these leading experts who have PhDs in the field and they're obsessed with longevity, and they're saying, "Hey, I personally take a high quality multivitamin," that's kind of a big deal, because I watched one of them who said pretty much, he's like, "I do a multivitamin fish oil D3. It's like, okay, so that was interesting. And he said he took creatine. And this was a leading expert in the field of longevity and a researcher. He's like, "This is what I personally take year round because I feel that it gives me a good insurance policy." And then you set that aside and you start looking at some of the data. I've looked at some pretty big studies that actually have had quality multivitamins, not garbage ones, with good quality controls. Again, keep in mind this is a supplement industry, who they've done studies on older demographics, right? Who they were concerned may not be getting optimal diets. And what they found was that their total oxidative stress was lower on the ones who took multivitamins. So, it was just general population. So we need to understand it was just gen pop. But you see where I'm going with this? Those studies did find a reduced total oxidative stress from taking the multivitamin. So in that context, it's like, okay, the data is leaning in the direction of, they're probably more beneficial than harmful. They may be a decent insurance policy. And when we're at the point to where, the best researchers themselves, when they're asked about it, are like, I personally take one. Okay? That's worth a lot more weight than someone, trying to sell you something. That's worth a lot more weight, because not only do we have data now showing just overall slightly better health, less oxidative stress in the body from particularly older populations taking them. So we have that. And then on top of it, you're seeing these researchers admitting, I personally take one just as an insurance policy, and they feel it's safe. Okay, I can get behind that. I can get behind that logic and say, using that logic, okay, it's probably a reasonable idea. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.